What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, back with another week of NFL best bets. This time for week number 14 of the 2020 NFL season in week 13. 80%, baby. 4-1. That's 2 weeks in a row. Week 12, week 13. The first 2 weeks of best bets here on the Bottom Line View, 80%. We're going to shoot for that again in week number 14. Before I give you my 5 favorite bets versus the spread in the NFL for this week, make sure you do spike that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more NFL best bets. Also, link is in the description for my Patreon, where I actually provide you with my bets that I make every week in the NFL, where I'm betting, what I'm doing, where my mindset is at heading into an NFL week for my bets. Let's get right into my favorite bets, my 5 favorite bets in the NFL for week 14, starting off with my first bet, and that is a bounce back. The San Francisco 49ers at home, or I guess you could say in Arizona, either way, taking on the Washington football team, and the 49ers are giving up a field goal. -3 in this game. I am taking the Niners. Why am I taking the Niners? Because people are going to say, Mitch, you're absolutely out of your mind. Did you not watch week 13? Yes. And that's exactly why I am betting in week 14 the reverse of what everybody saw. The 49ers, Monday Night Football, they lose to the Bills, who the Bills were underrated heading into week 13 on Monday Night Football. Clear. The Steelers lost to the Washington football team. The Washington football team upset the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers were overrated. Washington has now just won their Super Bowl. They are feeling themselves. They believe they can win the NFC East. The mindset's different here. The 49ers, this isn't just to keep their playoff hopes alive, which, by the way, they can still make the playoffs, guys. The Vikings are the number 7 seed in the NFC, that last wild card, and they're a 500 team. So San Francisco doesn't have to do a lot. They basically need to go like 9-7 to make the playoffs. And considering the Cardinals are also slipping right now and not playing their best football, San Francisco can make their way to the playoffs. So they need to win this game to keep their hopes alive. I know Washington does as well because the Giants and them are fighting for that division in the NFC least. But San Francisco has other reasons to win this game. And that is personal reasons. And now I know people are going to say, like, what are you talking about, Mitch? This is football. Who cares, bro? This isn't a good reason to bet on this team. It kind of is, because Kyle Shanahan absolutely despises the Washington football organization. His dad and him worked for the organization. They had a bad rap there. They got fired, all that stuff. The ownership. And then you have Trent Williams, who hates Washington. Then you have Jordan Reed, who got cut, and basically Washington gave up on him. He's in San Francisco now, and he's a primary playmaker for this San Francisco team. So that's 3 people, 3 prominent people on San Francisco that this team is going to fight to win this game for. Kyle has consistently shown up and coached his best football when playing Washington. Washington does have a revenge in Alex Smith, so that's why this narrative is very intriguing to me. The thing is here, Washington matched up well with Pittsburgh. People should have seen a close game coming. I thought Pittsburgh was going to win, but I thought the game would be close in that one. San Francisco, meanwhile, faced Josh Allen playing his best football of his career. He was incredible. I would not expect Alex Smith to replicate Josh Allen's Monday Night Football performance, where he's scrambling, making guys miss, throwing absolute dots and laser beams. Alex Smith's not that guy, okay? San Francisco has a good defense. especially versus a quarterback that's conservative, going to throw everything underneath. San Francisco can play their zone coverage. They're fast. They're going to be able to tackle in space, especially without Antonio Gibson, who's a playmaker with the ball in his hands who makes people miss. He's important to that offense, as well as Scary Terry. So now more attention to Scary Terry, less given to the running backs out of the backfield. Washington can't replicate the physical ability of Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, or even Cole Beasley. So don't expect Washington to score a lot of points in this game. On the flip side, Kyle Shanahan, like I said, he is going to put forth his best effort. And the thing with Washington is they're able to bully you with their defensive line. Well, you know what takes away a defensive line? A coach that does so much behind the line of scrimmage, it is not even funny. Kyle Shanahan minimizes what you do best. Whether it's the Patriots secondary or whether it is Aaron Donald and the Rams. He figures out a way to scheme around your strength defensively, and he will do that in this game to keep Mullins upright and to move the football with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Jordan Reed, Raheem Mostert through the run and the pass game, and take advantage of Washington's weak points of the secondary, specifically the corners, and the linebacker position. That's not very good in coverage. Kyle will figure that out. This is a bounce back spot for San Francisco. This is Washington just won their Super Bowl game. They're going to come back down to earth. And San Francisco is now actually comfortable in Arizona. They're actually, okay, we've been here for a couple weeks. We know the drill. We're not caught off guard by anything. They'll be used to that now. The process throughout the week that they had to get used to in a different situation, a different building, all that sort of stuff that we take for granted. I like San Francisco in this spot to cover the field goal and to keep their playoff hopes alive while getting a little hint of revenge. My number 4 game this week in week 14 is the New York Giants plus a field goal. I have learned my lesson, guys. I have learned my lesson. Now, hopefully I could actually pick a Giants game right, because the last 2 weeks, my one loss, my one blemish, each of the last 2 weeks were picking and betting against the G-Men. But I have learned my lesson, and I am fading a team that I really don't believe in this last quarter of the season, this last bit of the season, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. I have not liked what I've seen from the Cardinals, coaching-wise, quarterback-wise, anything-wise. The Giants, on the other hand, are playing a lot better football. They just upset the Seahawks, who I believe is a better team than the Cardinals, and they're kind of on a roll. Plus, they're getting their quarterback back. I know this is a square play. A lot of you are going to comment that in the comment section below. I get it, okay? But when you look at the matchups on the field, the Giants are the better football team. I know that's kind of weird to say because I've rarely called the Giants a more talented team than anybody. I don't know if they're necessarily more talented than the Cardinals, but the way they match up with Arizona is the reason I like the Giants here. First, let's look at the coaching matchup. So Cliff Kingsbury has faced, get this, the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Lions. Do you know what all of those games have in common? Patriot coach, Patriot coach, Patriot coach. This week, he plays the Giants. By the way, losing record. I believe he didn't win any of those games. He's facing another Patriot disciple, Joe Judge, and specifically the defensive coordinator in this game, Patrick Graham. Patrick Graham has done an outstanding, I'm talking incredible job with this defense. The Giants defense will be disciplined towards Kyler Murray's ability to scramble and run outside of the pocket, keeping Kyler inside of the pocket. Their great D-line, interior D-line, Leonard Williams, Tomlinson, all these underrated big boys will be able to push the pocket of the Cardinals offensive line and get to Kyler. We've seen this replicated throughout the Patriot regime of the Patriots, the Lions, and the Dolphins that have been able to at least slow down the Cardinals at the very least, and as recently as the Patriots being able to basically shut Kyler and this offense down. You factor in that Hopkins is beat up and just practiced once this week. He's taking on James Bradbury, a physical corner who's a great matchup. skill-wise and skill set-wise versus DeAndre Hopkins. So that's going to be even. I really like the Giants defense versus this Cardinals offense that for most of the season people have been overrating. On the flip side, Daniel Jones is back, as I mentioned. Daniel Jones is a decent quarterback, guys. He can run, he can make big time throws, and all his receivers are intact. He'll be able to attack this secondary that is beat up. You have multiple injuries on this Cardinals defense. Campbell, Joseph, Thompson, Simmons, all rather out or questionable for this game in the second level or in the secondary. The Giants just played Russell Wilson, who is kind of a similar quarterback to Kyler Murray on that defensive side. I just think the Giants' ability to win the defensive line versus the offensive line matchup of the Giants D-line versus the Cardinals offensive line, as well as their ability to pass the ball with Daniel Jones back and their group of receivers and tight ends, I feel like the Giants match up extremely well with the Cardinals. They are the team playing the better football right now with the better coaching staff, and we've seen this regime actually slow down Kyler with proof. So I am going to go with the Giants plus a field goal in this game. I just like the way that it really plans out, and I know that it's a square play, but I think it's the correct square play to take the underdog that's playing the better football plus the 3 points. My number 3 bet in week 14 of the 2020 NFL season is the Indianapolis Colts -3 over the Las Vegas Raiders. Another bet involving just a field goal on one side. The Colts, to me, are just the more complete team over the Raiders. They should be able to cover a field goal here. The Raiders are playing very poorly recently. We are fading the Raiders, just as we are fading the Cardinals. Both teams are regressing at the late portion of the season. The Raiders are not as good on both sides. They're not as talented, as balanced as the Colts. The Colts have a much better defense. Now, I am a little concerned that Buckner and Leonard are both on the injury report, but they're also getting players back. Anthony Costanzo at left tackle, very good player, as well as Bobby Okereke, linebacker, very good player, underrated. The Colts are really good on defense at 2 different things. Stopping the run, which the Raiders love to do with Josh Jacobs, who's also back in this game, and stopping tight ends, Darren Waller. The Colts are equipped to doing both. And that is why I like the Colts. The Colts defense is really built to slow down a team like the Raiders. Now, I feel like Derek Carr is going to have to dink and dunk all day in this game because the run is going to be slowed down. And I really feel like Darren Waller is not going to be as big of a piece in this game as other games. And the Colts are designed defensively to take the big shot of Henry Ruggs or Nelson Aguilar away from an offense. That defense is underrated, especially when healthy, and they look to be pretty healthy heading into this game. On the other side, the Colts offense versus the Raiders defense, the Raiders defense is not good. It's not great at stopping the run, but stopping the pass, Phillip Rivers should have a good day here. And I've said consistently, Phillip Rivers has been good this year when facing bad defenses. That's the Raiders. The Raiders don't have a great pass rush. They are actually without their best corner this year in Arnett and one of their better secondary leaders in Heath as well. So both of those players are out. Phillip Rivers can still throw the football accurately, with timing, with precision, and without really a pass rush in Las Vegas, that Colts O-line will be able to handle everything, unlike last year when Rivers faced the Raiders with the Chargers, who had no offensive line. The Colts will also be able to mix in the run game. I think the Colts are scoring at least 24 to 30 points in this game, and it's going to be tough for me to say that the Raiders will consistently be able to beat the Colts defense up and down the field, because up front it's an even matchup, and that's really where the Raiders are able to thrive most of the time, is because they're able to just outman you up front with the big boys on the offensive line. I like the Colts. I think they're the better team. I think the coaching is pretty even. I really just feel like the Colts are more balanced. They're playing better football at this point, And the Raiders seem to be regressing. So I will take the Colts to cover a field goal over Las Vegas in this game. My number 2 bet of week 14 of the NFL season is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers covering 6.5 over the Minnesota Vikings. And I know a lot of you have probably been burnt by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this season betting wise. They have not been a great team to bet on because they are a very public team and because Vegas knows that. They're going to inflate their lines week after week. But when I look at this game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in a point in their season where they need to prove something. They need to prove that they are really here to be a playoff contender. A lot of people are questioning Tom Brady, Bruce Arians, and the team. And they are facing a Minnesota Vikings team that is 7th in the NFC, as I've mentioned, a team that's 500, a team that recently has been winning some games, but is considerably overrated. The Vikings are overrated like crazy. The Buccaneers have handled teams like the Vikings. They have handled average teams consistently, like the Raiders, let's say. And the Bucs have struggled versus a certain type of team. They struggled versus the Rams. They barely lost, but they struggled in that game because of the pass rush of the Rams. They struggled versus the Bears. At that point, a good team, but we know not to be a good team. But why? Because of their pass rush, right? They struggled versus Saints twice. Why? Because of their defensive line. Who do the Vikings have to get to Tom Brady in this game? I'm waiting for you to answer that question. Exactly. No one. The Vikings are not touching Tom Brady in this game. And Tom Brady's coming off a bye. I don't know if you heard. Tom Brady's pretty good off of a bye, as well as Bruce Arians. The Bucs are scoring at least 30 in this game. On the other side, the Vikings are going to try to run the ball. That's what they like to do. That's what they are. They're a running football team with Dalvin Cook. Well, they're facing the Bucs. Run defense. That's pretty good at stopping the run. They are the best team in the league at stopping the run. And that means that, okay, 3rd and long. Now this offensive line that's not very good at protecting Kirk Cousins is going to be absolutely destroyed by JPP, Sue, and Shaq Barrett. This is just an awful matchup for the Vikings offensively. It's a brutal matchup because they want to run the ball. They want to hit you with play action. But if the Bucs are scoring on offense, which they should, and the Vikings are trying to play their game, which they try to play every week, which is run the ball first, the Bucs are going to just demolish the Vikings. Like, I don't see a way that the Vikings win this game. It's in Tampa Bay. The Bucs are off a bye. They're highly motivated. The Vikings, the last recent games, they lost to the Cowboys. They beat Jacksonville in overtime. They beat the Panthers by 1 point, who the Bucs demolished twice. They've been winning games, but versus bad teams. The Bucs are at a different level. The Bucs will prove that in this game, and they will run away with this game, in my opinion. It is under a touchdown extra point, 7 points. It's under 7 points. It's 6.5. If you can get it at 6.5, 6 points, I would take it because I think the Bucs are going to win by double digits. Maybe the Vikings cover the back door with Kirk Cousins garbage time. Maybe that's the threat of losing this bet, but you can't bet based on that. I'm taking the Bucs. This is a perfect matchup for them to get back on track and to head in this late portion of the season to get some momentum for the playoffs. And my final bet for week number 14 is the Buffalo Bills -2, maybe 2.5, maybe 1.5, depending on where you can get the game, versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bills are at home in this Sunday night football game, coming off a big win on Monday Night Football, a showcase of Josh Allen's talent. And the Steelers are coming off of a loss on the same day, losing their first game of the season to Washington. So I understand why this could be what I was talking about with San Francisco and Washington, because those two teams played on the same day versus these teams, where, okay, Pittsburgh might be undervalued here. But when you look at the game, Pittsburgh's weaknesses are what? Pittsburgh's weaknesses are defending the pass with their secondary and running the ball. What do the Bills do well and not well? The Bills pass the ball very well, have great receivers and a very good quarterback, and they have bad run defense. So the Pittsburgh Steelers can expose the Bills' run defense. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are without Joe Hayden. They lost Bud Dupree. They're losing multiple middle linebackers for this game. The Bills are the second best team in the AFC, guys. Josh Allen is playing his best football of his career. Stephon Diggs has been uncoverable. So has Cole Beasley. This is a Brian Daboll offensive coordinator from New England. Remember how often New England put up 30-plus points? Versus the Steelers' defenses of the past with the same scheme that they have this year, with talent that's getting hurt and beat up. The Bills will win this game. I am confident in that. Their defense is playing better football. Actually, I feel they have the better quarterback and the better coaches in game at adjusting to their opponent with Daboll and McDermott. The Bills are playing their best football of the season, heading into that late portion of the season. The Steelers are starting to show more and more flaws, and I just don't know how their offense will be able to keep up with the Bills' offense in this game, because I don't think the Steelers' defense is going to slow down Josh Allen. I just don't see it. Who's covering Diggs? Who's covering Beasley? I don't see it. The Steelers, they're a fine team, but they've been overrated. They've been exposed. And the Bills will show you that on Sunday Night Football. They will win this game and showcase why they're the biggest threat to Kansas City in the AFC. Those are my 5 best bets for week number 14 of the 2020 NFL season. If you enjoyed, don't forget to spike that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's Mitch. Good luck this week and peace.